My name is Sean. I'm a 25-year-old run-of-the-mill office worker. Tomorrow is the day of my wedding. I've been dating my partner, Emma, since I was in college. After 2 years of dating, we decided we would get married. I was always someone who would neglect my responsibilities and health if I was left alone. Emma was always there to support me in those times. It would be no exaggeration to say that I was able to graduate from university thanks to Emma's presence in my life. To be able to share the foreseeable future with my Emma, such a positive force in my life, needless to say, I was feeling very happy. So the wedding day eventually arrives. The ceremony and the reception were just as I imagined them to be. I watched Emma smile happily and could not help myself. I was again reminded of the happiness and joy I felt to welcome this new period in my life. And then the life of being a newlywed began. I was overjoyed to spend my newlywed life with someone I truly cherished. Naturally, I thought this happiness would last forever. However, this time would eventually end. In fact, it only lasted 2 weeks. It was the morning of our 14th day as newlyweds. I was supposed to go on a business trip. Well then, I'm off. I'll be back soon, Emma. When I let her know, Emma said to me,
I'll be so lonely. I might not be able to sleep tonight.
So I reassured her, it's only 1 day, so I'll be back soon. Well then, I'm off. I left the house with those words. I was off to my trip, or so I thought. When I went to work, my boss told me there was a problem arranging the business trip. The trip was suddenly cancelled. I had no choice but to take care of the rest of my work. That day, I left the company at my usual clock-out time. I did not have time in the day to inform Emma that the business trip was cancelled. Emma, I wonder if you'll be surprised that I'm home so early. She was saying how lonely she was going to be, so surely she'll be happy to see me. I arrived home imagining how she would greet me. I thought I'd come in and surprise her, so I turned the key to the front door quietly. But the door was already unlocked. Emma, you're pretty careless even though I'm gone, I thought as I opened the front door. Then I saw a pair of shoes I had never seen before. Whose shoes are these? There were no shoes like this when I left in the morning. These belonged to a man. Feeling a little uneasy, I went into the house so as not to make any noise. In the hallway that leads to the bedroom, clothes and an underwear were sprawled across the ground. In response to this strange scene, my mind was having trouble processing itself. Did a thief break in? What's going on here? For a while, my head was blank. But as I calmed down, I heard the voice of a person who seemed to be Emma. Not only her, but the voice of a man was also heard mixed with her own. The voices were not those of an ordinary conversation. I didn't want to believe it. At the same time, I couldn't just leave, and so I pulled out my phone and opened the camera. I went in the direction where the voices could be heard. That brought me to the living room. When I entered the living room, the camera caught what I had feared. Emma and another man on my sofa. Just before that, it seemed they were having a meal. The leftover pot of soup was left on the table in front of me, still hot. The two did not seem to notice me, so I kept shooting with my camera. I only stopped because I was about to vomit. There was no indication that they would notice me if I didn't make myself known. I coughed up a storm and alerted them of my presence. As I expected, Emma, who noticed me, sprung up.
Sean, why?
Of course, she seemed quite distraught. I questioned Emma. Who is this? I asked bluntly and calmly, keeping my cool. And then, the man finally chimes in. I'm a classmate of Emma's. So, I immediately asked, did you know Emma was married? When I asked, the man struggled to answer. He was tripping over his words. I think he knew that Emma was married. I'm a man. You're a man. Just let me hit you once. When I asked this, Emma sprung to action quickly.
Please, stop!
She had clung on to me to stop. I couldn't help but say it. So, you take his side, huh? I was enraged at this point. The two were still practically stuck together because my entrance was so sudden. The man then begins to look around frantically. I asked, "What's wrong?" And then I realized, oh, if it was your clothes you were looking for, you can find them scattered in the bedroom. Also, who knows what you two have done on that bed? I probably won't be sleeping there anymore, so it would be helpful if you took that with you too. I poked fun at him, gauging his response. The man was distraught. When he was about to get out of the sofa, he lost his balance and the pot of soup that was still hot on the table flipped over onto him. The pot of soup was probably still boiling when it hit him. What do you think happened next? In a panic, the man pushed Emma away with all his might. Emma hit her face on the table with quite a bit of force and chipped her front teeth. From there, it was chaos. First, Emma slapped the man with all her might. Then the man restrained Emma, pressing her against the wall. Emma screamed.
What are you going to do? My teeth are missing.
She was enraged. Then the man yells,
It wasn't on purpose. Don't be so angry. I got covered in a hot pot of soup. What if you worry about me a little bit?
They were really going at one another now. To them, I wasn't even there. There was a big bookshelf on the wall of our home. In all the commotion, it suddenly fell on them. It didn't look likely they could get out themselves. Those two were completely buried under the shelf. The bookshelf was packed with items and must have weighed quite a bit. Those two were definitely stuck. They said to me,
Please, help us.
Please, do it.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was watching them ruin my life just minutes ago. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I just can't help them after what they did. I decided to document the current situation in videos and photos in case something worse happened. But I can't just leave them to die. I decided to call an ambulance for the time being. As their daughter might be seriously injured, I contacted Emma's parents. They lived quite far away, but they needed to know. I contacted them, only asking them to come over to our house now. I was in the bedroom where I found the man's phone. I opened the text on the phone, hoping to find something. I called the person who was on top of the contact. Hello? I picked up this phone, but do you know whose smartphone it is? As I said this, the person on the phone replied,
Sorry to inconvenience you. I am the wife of the man who owns this phone. Thank you for contacting me. I'll come grab it right now, so can you tell me the address?
So she says. I reply, Then I will send the address to the number you are calling from. My name is Sean. I hope to be seeing you soon. With that, I ended the call. After a while, the ambulance arrived. The paramedics wanted to know more about the situation, and so I was asked a lot of questions. I couldn't hide my surprise when I saw those two. That was probably just as true for the paramedics. There must be a lot of sights you see as a paramedic. The scene where a naked man and woman are stuck under a bookshelf is not likely to be one of them. Just then, the intercom just went off. It seemed that the man's wife had arrived. The man's wife was also surprised. You have come to pick up something your husband lost, but you are greeted with the house where ambulances are stopped and the paramedics are here.
Did something happen?
She asked politely. I replied bluntly, Actually, yes. There was a stranger in the house while I was away. Maybe you know him? I asked, in case. The wife of the man was confused.
I would think so.
As she said that, we came into the living room. She realized that the whole house was a mess. She seemed almost more surprised at the messiness than the paramedics. But the biggest surprise, it would have been when she saw the paramedics pull at the man, trying to get him out. I thought that when people were really surprised, they would not be able to muster words. The man's wife was different.
What? What is this supposed to mean?
She loudly exclaimed. I'm sorry for the unpleasant surprise. I was lying a bit in the call. I apologize for that. It is true that I picked up a smartphone, but the place that it had fallen was the bedroom of my house. I knew that you were this guy's wife, and so I called you. It was a pity that I had to show the sad reality to you too. As I say this, I still looked at the man, never breaking eye contact. I continued. That's my wife over there. When I got home for work, the two were in the middle of embracing on my sofa. I was upset that so much was happening at once, and I told him to let me hit him, man to man. Your husband must have been in a hurry to leave. He rushed off the sofa and covered himself in hot soup. After that, those two seemed to panic and berate one another. One thing led to another, and this is what you see here. I explained. After that, I exchanged contact information with the man's wife. We watched quietly from a distance as the paramedics did their job. After that, the two of them were taken away in an ambulance. I couldn't bring myself to ride with them. I already knew where they were headed. I made sure to tell Emma's parents so they knew where their daughter was. The wife of the man was different.
I'll come too.
With that, she followed them into the ambulance. I was left alone with my thoughts. I looked back on what I had done until now. It's only been 14 days since we were married. I can't believe this happened to me. My tears came out and they wouldn't stop. Today is probably not the first time my wife has had an affair. You don't call just anyone to your home. I imagine that they met quite often. If you look at Emma's texts, the story about that guy being her classmate seemed to be real. When we met again last year for a reunion, that's when they must have made contact. It seems that they had met many times since then. But that means... Would it mean that she had a relationship before you married me? Then why did she marry me? I became sad and distraught when I thought about these things. A while after they were taken away, I got a call from Emma's mother. I explained Emma's current condition as best as I could. Facial bruises and 2 broken front teeth. Probably also some burns and bruises. When I said this, my mother-in-law was surprised. What the hell happened? She exclaimed. She was obviously worried sick for her daughter. I couldn't explain her daughter's true self over the phone. I don't know if it's something to be discussed over a phone call. I'll talk to you when Emma's condition is stable. Are you able to come by my house? I said politely. My mother-in-law came ringing my doorbell less than an hour later. I told her the details, unfiltered and raw. She asked one thing. Did Emma really do that? It seemed that she could not hide the shock on her face. I continued on. It seems to have been going on for at least a few years. I told my in-laws about what my plans were. I loved Emma. And yet, only 2 weeks into our marriage, I can't bear to be treated this way. I loved her. But to continue married life like nothing happened? I can't do it. I want to divorce Emma. I had spoken my true feelings with no regret. My mother-in-law immediately chimed in. I'm really sorry. I know how you feel. I could never forgive such a thing. As if to add, the father-in-law, who had been listening silently until now, said this. Your feelings are natural. You can do whatever you want. We have no right to say anything. Their words were reassuring. Thank you. Are you going to be staying here for a while? I asked them. wondering if I could help. My mother-in-law responded,
"We will have to visit Emma until she's better. I think we'll be here for a while."
She was obviously still worried. I let them know immediately. Please, use this house if you want. I don't think I can stand being in this house anymore. Use it as you see fit. I was firm, but polite. My father-in-law was grateful but worried.
"I really appreciate you letting us use this house for a while. But what about you?"
My plans were simple. I'm going to sleep in a nearby hotel for a while. After greeting them and letting them know my plans, I packed my bags and checked into a nearby business hotel. That night, I texted Jenna, the wife of the cheating man. The content of those messages were as follows. I'm so sorry to contact you so late at night. I thought you should know, my wife and I are going to divorce. There are also countless videos and photos of evidence that those two were on my sofa being unfaithful. If you need to see them, I could send them to you. I had to let her know everything. Within 20 minutes, I got a reply from Jenna.
Thank you for contacting me. If it's okay, I just want to talk to you in person. Do you have any time tomorrow? I would like to discuss some things.
It worked for me. I was definitely in no shape to go to work tomorrow and did not plan to. Of course, I replied. So the next day, I met with Jenna. In this meeting, I learned of a few things. One thing, Jenna was married to this man for 2 years, and they had a child between them who is just about to be a year old. Another thing was that she seemed to have noticed her husband's affair before. However, because there was no solid evidence, she did not want to believe it. She was simply fooling herself. When I showed her the videos and photos, there was a sense of relief.
Now, I'm finally determined. I will also get a divorce.
She seemed happy to finally say those words. That evening, my mother-in-law contacted me. It seems that the day when Emma would be discharged was decided. On the day of her discharge, I finished my work on time and showed up to Emma's family home. It's been a long time since I saw Emma. She was watching me closely.
I'm really sorry. I had no idea you would be back. If I knew, I wouldn't have called someone to the house.
Or so she said. I was shocked. Her heart was in the completely wrong place. No. It's not about calling or not calling someone to my house, Emma. You've been tricking me all along. On that day, I'm almost glad I came home early. I told her off. Emma, now in a quiet voice, almost whispered,
I'm sorry.
It felt empty to me. I don't want you to apologize. Divorce me now. When I said those words, Emma again spoke loudly.
It's a lot of procedures and stuff to get a divorce. I'm begging you to think it through again.
I could not believe my ears. I was stunned. You really are selfish to the bitter end. I don't need a settlement or alimony. I'll give you this house too, so forget that. I just need to get divorced. I really just don't want to get involved with you anymore. I was just saying what was on my mind at this point. Emma kept going.
What about the mortgage?
It was high time that someone stepped in. It was my father-in-law who was listening silently until now.
Who do you think you are? This problem is entirely your responsibility. We are in favor of a divorce too. Keep your mouth shut and sign the papers.
He was assertive and stern. Heeding her father's words, Emma reluctantly signed the divorce papers. So I went back to being single. A married life of 2 weeks. I'm not sure anyone could experience a shorter marriage. But in the long run, it may have been good to understand Emma's nature quickly. I truly believe this to be a blessing in disguise. Who knows how long this could have gone for? From now on, I will only face forward in life, I will not allow this to weigh me down. Thank you for watching. Did you enjoy the video? We look forward to seeing you again. Please subscribe to our channel.